In my mid-40s, I decided to learn. I did my best for a year or so in a bust-out gym in Ocean Park, California. I didn't learn much because I didn't have a trainer, but I did manage to get my nose broken another time, because I was sparring with dummies like myself. A pro would have played with me, because pros know when it's time to work and when it's time to fight. It was about that time that I had to quit my boxing education to pursue family issues. But a couple of years later, I was back at it. That's when the magic of boxing caught up to me and saved my life. I went to a gym that's a parking lot now. Gym guys spot a beginner in a New York minute. After I'd been working out a few weeks, I had reason to show up in the gym dressed well. Harris tweed jacket and tie, flannel pants, that sort of thing. A splash of paisley in my coat pocket. All sorts were in the gym, from bantam to heavyweights, black and Hispanic, but I was the only white boy. White boy is what whites are most often referred to in fight gyms, whites being in the minority. You never hear blacks, old or young, referred to as black boys, although you will hear that a black fighter was robbed of the fight because of his paint job. After I'd finished my workout, I waited at the desk to speak with the gym manager. As I stood there, a middle-aged black trainer I'd noticed in the gym came up next to me. I thought he was waiting for the manager, too. His heavyweight watched on the far side of the desk, but instead of speaking with the manager, the trainer whispered to me and held out a buck 110 jackknife with brass fittings and a bone handle. It's the kind of knife you can shove through a car door or use to field dress a deer. He eyeballed me like a pimp and said, "You ever see one of these?" I looked at the knife. I reached calmly into my back pocket. I came out with my own buck 110. Since he hadn't opened his knife, I didn't open mine, but I could have with the fingers of one hand. I held the buck in my palm the way he held his. I said, "You mean a knife like this?" The trainer jumped back, whoop, and his heavyweight went down on his knees laughing. He stayed there as the trainer sailed out the door with his head down. The heavyweight staggered behind him, hardly able to breathe. A few people saw it, but I didn't have any more trouble because fight gyms are calm places of peace, despite the machine gun racket of speed bags and the slap of leather jump ropes on hardwood floors, despite the sound of leather gloves thumping into rib cages, despite the fact that big bags would be hanging corpses if the punches they took were delivered to living flesh and bone. Shake hands with a fighter someday. You'll see how soft his hands are from being steamed in gauze and leather and sweat, and how small his hands are compared with other athletes the same size, and how his handshake is as gentle as a nun's. Many have high voices. Jack Dempsey as a young man did. Many have cartoon character lisps. Larry Holmes does, as does Mike Tyson, who also has the high voice. So there I was, didn't know squat from boxing. Was slapping rather than punching, on my heels instead of toes, sticky instead of slick. But I sparred with 18 and 20-year-old beginners anyhow. Had teeth cracked and inlays fall out. I got hit more than I should have, because without my glasses I couldn't see the shots coming, but I did okay for an old man. The spell was cast. I would subsequently have to stop sparring because I had to wear braces to correct a jaw condition, one unrelated to boxing. But by then I was in. I had also hooked up with a first-class trainer, Dub Huntley, the guy who had become my partner. I'd gone to him to train me after 3 months or so because I saw the results he got. I offered to pay him up front, but he refused. Instead, he put it on me like he was training Marciano. He'd take me through the usual 4 3-minute rounds on the punch mitts, which would leave me gasping, my left shoulder hanging dead from throwing close to 100 jabs a round. I'd lose 4 pounds from the workout. But sometimes
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.